Hello, my All in the Cards family. This is another ancient ancestor. I ain't gonna say, well, I can't say ancient because she was born in like 1891. So she is now considered one of our ancient ancestors, but she's also known as, and I'm talking about the ancestors that I'm getting ready to read on today because you guys know I'm doing it as an ancestor month to honor those ancestors that were, some of them, me being the voice for the voiceless, some of them being silenced, right? So that is what you're seeing come through on the channel in reference of, the readings that you see, right? Because they call it in the Western here, they call it Black History Month. I call it Ancestor Month. And not even Ancestor Month, but just to give our ancestors that we need to know about, a voice here on my channel, and not just during the month of February either, because we always tap in with our ancestors, right? So I send love to you guys, and I hope that you are honoring your ancestors, not just in February, but every day, okay? As it's a lifestyle, it's not a trend, all right? Okay, so today's ancestor that I'm speaking of is Miss Zora Neale Hurston. Now, I know that this came to me because things come to me in different ways, okay? So I know that this ancestor came to me through the Good Sis page, Ashley So, wait a minute, let me make sure I'm saying it right. Ashley Say So. That's her, says so. This is her channel, so I want to shout her out, okay? Because she had this story 6 hours ago that just came up about Miss, this is her, and this was the story she did for Black History Month on her channel. She does scandals, and she did Miss Zora Hurston. Okay, now it was an amazing video, so y'all go over there and watch it, and I'll put the link underneath this video so you can go and watch the whole video. But it was very interesting, hence why tonight I'm gonna do on my Patreon the connection that is between her, which she made the connection. Ashley Say So made the connection for me in reference of Miss Zora Neale Hurston and the activist in Missouri, I think it was, that he was Darren Seal. So I'll be doing that one tonight on my Patreon. That's like a still cold case. But anywho, for the ancestors that I'm doing here, I'm definitely talking about her, okay? So that video will be underneath of here. Now, to get into who Miss Zora Neale Hurston, and this is her, beautiful, beautiful Black queen goddess, okay? She was an American writer, family, and an anthropologist, okay? Also an activist, right? Of racial struggles and so forth like that in the 20s, okay? This was in the 1920s, okay? So this was going back, right? She was in published research on hoodoo and Caribbean voodoo, and the most popular, she knew of esoteric things back then, okay? That's why I was like, oh my God, I love this story. So she wrote this amazing novel called Their Eyes Were Watching God in 1937. I suggest all of you get that book and read it. Do your researches, do some reading, family, okay? She wrote more than 50 short stories, plays, and autobiographies, and many essays, okay? This was Miss Zora Neale Hurston. Very beautiful. She was born in Alabama and she passed in Florida, okay? She went to school at Howard University, family. She went to Columbia University. This was a very educated lady, okay? She was very educated. She had been married 3 times, okay? She lived in Harlem, okay? And she was literally movement of the Harlem Renaissance, okay? She also did other books also, like I was telling you guys, many other books she did. It wasn't just the the eyes, their eyes were watching God. She did How It Feels to Be Colored Me. She did Sweat, Spunk, Dust Tracks on the Road, Mules and Men, okay, all these, and Tell My Horse. She did all of these like in the 1930s and 1920s, okay? But she was ridiculed in reference of going against the norm back then of the civil rights leaders and those like W.E.B. Du Bois and Langston Hughes, all reading about how blacks were, done a certain way, and she felt that that was not what she wanted to write about. She didn't want to write about the pain and the suffering of blacks. She wanted to write about those blacks that felt empowered. She wanted to empower the blacks and let the blacks know that they were of power. She talked about how the NAACP did not do anything for the blacks, and none of the black community people that were going, like making it seem like they were doing so much for the blacks, they really wasn't, she's saying. So that with the public back then, and how that was like disgrace, you know what I'm saying? So she was looked at like, no, that's not what we want to put out. We don't want to put that out. We want to put out that the blacks are being treated this way, and this is how all blacks are being treated. All blacks are slaves, all blacks are, but really in actuality, what she was saying is not all blacks was like that. Some blacks had money. You see what I'm saying? So she had a different outlook of things, and she was putting out there how these groups that they claimed were helping blacks back then weren't. So she was ridiculed, and the way they ridiculed her is they took this family with this lady and her son and he made him lie against her in reference of saying that she molested the boy, and that family tainted her name. And then what was so crazy was they locked her up and she got out, and when she got out, she took it to trial, and in the trial, the child told and the mother told how they lied on this lady, how they set this lady up. And it was even documented to show that the little boy had stated that this was all lies before the trial, but they still took this lady to trial. The story is amazing, okay? So from there, her career plummeted because her name was tainted then, family. You know what I mean? Although she was very innocent in this whole situation, it created havoc in her life where it made her not being able to write anymore. It made her have to start to be like a maid. So when she was making thousands and thousands of dollars back in that day, that was like being a millionaire as being a writer. But then it was like when this situation happened where they set her up like this, she no longer could, make money. So her life plummeted. So I want to ask her, starting out the reading with this, right? As I'm starting with these, let me see what fell out, the Knight of Coin. But as I'm starting out these readings with the tarot, with these leaders and these revolutionary people back in the day, right? Ancestors. How did she feel about how they was doing her because she spoke out against the blacks that were being ridiculed back then, and her going against the grain? How did she feel back then in reference of them going against the grain? Okay, here we go. She says she felt, this is the King of Pentacles, so she was up against men with money, and it cost her her success. This is the Six of Wands. Look at this Six of Wands in this deck. This is why I chose this deck. This is her. And look at all those she had to battle amongst her success. You see, this is the Six of Wands. So she's saying, I had to battle this King of Pentacles that sat on the throne that didn't like me because I was going against the grain. I was telling what it was that a lot of blacks wanted to say, and that some of them didn't even know. But I was ridiculed by those, and it cost me my success. She's letting us know about this King of Pentacles who was behind all of this that happened to her. Thank you, Miss Zora. Now, Miss Zora, bring in your spirit and your soul. Miss Zora, forgot to bring that prior. Miss Zora, how did you feel in reference of the 1920s with you having to put out your books and so forth? Did you feel like you were being listened to with your things you were writing? 10, no, she felt betrayed. Okay, she felt betrayed. The 9 of Cups, it was her wish fulfillment to not feel like she was being portrayed. But this is the 10 and the 9 together is 19, which is definitely trauma. Okay, she felt betrayed. She felt the things that she was writing about, that the people were not listening to her. It was her wish, okay? And it was also another person's wish to get rid of her, see? In reference of the things that she was talking about and the things that she was saying in her books. She felt like there was many of things that was trying to end her. But all in all, the sun is shining on her for the things that she sort of sacrificed herself, you know, is what I'm seeing here. Now, I have to be very clear, okay, because this is what ancestors keep bringing to me. All in all, behind the betrayal of her writings and the things that she was putting there, yeah, there were men, because we keep getting men showing as being the ones that didn't like her or going up against her. But not only black men, but white men, allegedly, okay? Because this is a white man opening a bottle of wine, right? And it's showing, just like the 9 of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith-Cohen behind him, that, you know, this was about a wish fulfillment to silence her, okay? To put her down, right? This was conflict that somebody was trying to end, see? And this is a white man. So she felt that others was not listening to her at all, and that she was betrayed, and that she was ended because of the underlying energy of how the men back then was making it seem that she wasn't telling the truth, you see. Understood, Miss Zora. Miss Zora Hurston, were you into the occult knowledge back then? Were you into the occult knowledge, Miss Zora Hurston? Were you into the occult knowledge? How did you know? Yes, she was. And it was, okay, so she felt pain behind that. So the 3 of Swords and the Knight of Cups is here. And then the Queen of Wands. So she was definitely in the occult. But I do feel that she was ridiculed behind the things that she knew. Look at that 3 of Swords. It brought her pain to know of the things that she was offered in knowledge from spirit. See, this looks like a spirit here. Look at the 3 of Swords beside that Knight of Cups, which the Knight of Cups is all about offering something, right? But look at this angel that's here. This angel offered her the occult knowledge that made her into the Queen of Wands of who she was. See, and this kind of looks like how it was in the 20s as well. But the Queen of Wands, we all know, even in the Rider-Waite-Smith-Cohen, she has her cat with her in reference of, you know, the black cat, right? Which is the spiritual aspect of showing the symbolism in that deck. But in this, it's a piano, right? And she's holding some candles. But what I get from this is the arts with the piano, right? Because people who know how to be musical intel of the piano showing with this Queen of Wands of who she was, I feel like was the arts of her, the literature part of her, you know? And then we have the 3 candles that she's holding. I feel like that is a part of her. Yeah, she had a lot of distractions and people trying to distract her from being, or the knowledge that she knew. But not only that, the 3 candles that are here is definitely the communication she did with the spiritual realm. So Miss Zora not only had knowledge of different things that, you know, of course was coming through. That's why Ancestor says she caught a lot of pain. And look, there's another man that's causing her pain. Not only did she know about the occult, but she, like I said, the angels and the ancestors and her guardian angel was bringing her messages, and these messages was also coming in reference of the heartbreak and the things that she went through amongst her life with the different relationships that she was in. A lot of her situations came from the things that she was speaking and how she spoke and what she talked about. A lot of things was happening because of her mouth. Okay, her mouth caused her a lot of problems, even with the men, you know what I mean? But it's because she truly knew, you know what I'm saying? She truly knew the truth. Okay, and that's what's coming through even here. She had a lot of heartbreak in her life, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. Okay, but she didn't show it. She didn't show it. She talked about uplifting herself out of this pain and suffering, away from the things. She chose to listen to spirit. She chose to take the offering in the cup of life and live her life through truth, through the light. That's why we have this angel here with the light. So that's what it was. Although she was in the esoteric. She did know about the esoteric. That's why the hoodoo and all that stuff was talked about. But she knew of the spirit realm. She communicated with them. Oh, I love this. Thank you, Miss Zora. Well, I'm gonna ask you one more other. Yeah, there it is too. Look at the voodoo doll. So she was into that. She was letting me know, you know, that right there with that coming up. But also, let's get into, in these cards, I want you to show us, what is it that you want us to know in reference of how they did you with the child situation, Miss Zora? How they did you? Yeah, disposing of evidence. Yeah, they did dispose of evidence. I think during that trial and during that situation, I think they did get rid of the evidence. And the evidence they got rid of was the little boy had already telling ahead of the trial that she didn't do it, that he was lying on her. So that was disposing of the evidence. What else did you want us to know? She was they acquitted her, you know. I did see that. Yeah, they got it wrong. She said it. She said, yeah, they went the wrong way. They got it wrong. They didn't pay attention to the dates on everything because she was out of the country. She said it was an organized crime. They got it wrong. It was an organized crime of people that was trying to come up against her. And they disposed of the evidence thinking they were going to try to keep this on her and make havoc of her life and take her out of here. What else? Yeah, it was premeditated. Yeah. Even some of the things that was happening to her, she's saying was premeditated. Even the health issues that was happening to her were all premeditatedly happening because of some type of situation that happened to her in her life also. I do feel that, especially how she was speaking out. But in her chart, it definitely showed that she was the golden child, family. She was one of the ones that would speak out, you know, and didn't care because of the trauma and the drama and the things that she went through. Although she had many warnings, she got the karma back behind it, right? And some of that was caused, you know, because of her wanting to speak out. But a lot of what happened to her was premeditated against her. What else, Miss Zora? Zora Hurston. Zora Hurston. Thank you. Yeah, she traveled the world, but she was fired too by somebody, maybe because of what she was saying and how she was, you know, what she was talking about and everything like that. A lot of people didn't like that, you know, and she was fired, she said, out of some positions, out of some jobs she lost. What else, Miss Zora? She was at a crossroads then. Yeah, and they wanted her. Because she was at a crossroads, and then she was at a crossroads because of the confession also. So she had this conflict where she didn't know which way to go, okay? But then there was that confession that made everything happen. See, that confession is what gave her she was vindicated then, you know. But she was at a crossroads for a while, family, she's saying, Miss Zora. What else are you wanting us to know? Okay, this wants to come out. It was a repeated pattern. They had her hands tied in reference of the things that they kept doing to her. Okay, this was repeatedly that they kept doing these things to her during that time. So she suffered a lot, you know, of whatever was happening. What else, Miss Zora Hurston, you want us to know about that time? She was in fear. It was a lot of fraud going on. She was in fear. She said there was a lot of low vibrational things and low vibrational men that was causing her things. They were putting fraud up against her. See, she was in fear of them because she knew that they were already in power, is what she's saying. What else you want us to know out of this statement, Zora? Yeah, they seek revenge in her own neighborhood. Look, revenge came out in reverse. See, they seeked revenge even in reference of some type of meeting. Normally it would be like this way up, right? But I feel like she was saying they didn't want to meet with her. They didn't want to meet with her. That's why it was in reverse. And they knew that they wanted to try to get revenge on her as well. So she's saying, yes, they tried to get revenge on her, but they didn't succeed because she got out of it. That was the whole thing about why it was premeditated. But see, they didn't want to meet with her ahead of time. That's why the meeting is in reverse. She's saying they wanted to take her down, but they didn't. They did revenge, but they weren't successful. So that's what she's saying by that. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Miss Zora. Thank you for the messages. Makes a lot of sense. A lot. All right, Miss Zora. Let's get to the truth in the words, all right? And let's see what you have to tell us about this whole situation of what happened to you. What is it that you want us to know? In the truth in the words, Miss Zora, of what truly happened to you, or what is it that you want us to know in your spirit and in your soul, Miss Zora. Speak to us through the cards and tell us what you want us to know. Zora, Neale, Hurston, what is it that you want us to know that we don't know at this time in reference of your story, your legacy? What is it that you want us to know? Miss Zora, Hurston, Miss Zora, Hurston, Neale, what is it that you want us to know in your spirit and in your soul? Miss Zora, Hurston, what is it that you want us to know? Miss Zora, Neale, what is it that you want us to know? Drown. Yeah, she drowned. Yeah. Yes, Miss Hurston. Yeah. She drowned in her emotions attached to this situation that took her out. I told you guys that story is accurate. Look at the son that was demonic. She said she said that son should have let it go, or that there was some that she tried to defend herself, family. Look at this spread. Tells it all. Tells it all, especially what the story was, right? This tells it all. First card she put out is it was demonic energy up against her. It was demonic energy up against her. They knew it and she knew it. She was just trying to defend herself against this demonic energy is what she's saying. And they sent this demonic son of that lady in to do this to her. They put this son into it. That's what the food means. They put this son into giving something to the person, and he also received something. But she was trying to be in defense of what was this child was saying about her. See? But really she wanted it to be let go, and this child wanted it to be let go as well. But the demonic forces behind this child is what wouldn't let it go. It was an emergency behind them letting this go, but they didn't want to. See, because they wanted to make sure that she reaped this demonic energy and made her very, very emotional and made her lose out on her life behind this son of that lady that created havoc in her life. You see, when she was just trying to defend herself, to let people know she would have never done anything like that to a child. She wasn't even there. She was traveling, as we seen. And when she was traveling and this happened, they fired her. That's what she was trying to tell us earlier. Behind this child situation. And she tried to defend herself from this demonic situation. Clarity on the spread, Miss Zora Hurston. What else you want us to know, love? Whew. Everything here is allegedly all for entertainment purposes only as well. I have to say that for you too, but you can look up the story. It's all written. clarity on the spread, Miss Norton. Miss Hurston. Clarity on the spread, Miss Hurston. Zora Hurston. Clarity on the spread, Miss Hurston. Clarity on the spread. What is it that you want us to know, Ashe? Yeah, she was in fear. She gave us this multiple times. This lady was in fear of those people and how they were doing her. She was in fear. Okay? That's why a lot of this, she's saying, they wanted to silence her. Look. The demonic forces wanted her to be nonverbal, and they were nonverbal too. They didn't make a sound in reference of what they were doing. They were just doing stuff to her, and they were nonverbal. They didn't even say and show who did this to her, but she knew. But they wanted to silence her because of what she was saying. See, she said in self-defense, they were robbing her. See, they were robbing her of her life, of her career. She said they stole everything from her, and she was trying to defend herself. See, this child they used to steal things in reference of her life. See, this child is how they stole her life, was stolen by this child, and the reputation that they put out there, which was something that was very horrible. And this child also stole from her too, by putting his words out there. Words can harm you. Words can kill you. It's power in the tongue of life and death. And she said they stole it from her. See, they went to go get what they put into the situation, which was this child. See, that's why it was in the spread like this. See, what was taken was her life in reference of this child, because they went to go get this person and put it into the situation to make it worse. See, that was the demonic forces. See how that demonic and stolen is the same energy? Yes, it is, because they stole her life with putting this child into her situation. See, all of this was also about money in reference of the emergency made her pay money on this situation. So she was also spending money because of fear. And also they didn't want her making money. So they went after her to get this taken care of. In actuality, she had to defend herself with her money. So she was spending money she didn't really have too. But she wanted them to let it go, and they didn't. They deviated away from it by not putting out earlier that this little boy had told them she didn't do that to him. So see, they didn't let it go. They deviated away from that. That's what she's saying. And she was in fear of it all. She was in fear of it all. This tells you the whole situation she's saying here. So it's very accurate of what happened to her. It's very accurate. Okay? I don't even have to clarify the spread. It's very accurate. Thank you, Miss Zora, Neale, Hurston. We see exactly what happened to you. They did this. They put this into your situation, and you were trying to defend yourself from this full-blown robbery of your life and your money by this child, by that woman's son, which was demonic forces behind it that was nonverbal, allegedly all for entertainment purposes. But you can look up this story, and Miss Zora is speaking in the energy of the cards. So may you do your own research, read her books, may you live in glory, and you get your spiritual justice as well as your justice here on earth, using us as vessels to tell your story, Miss Hurston. Sending you love, and thank you for the voice. Thank you for your voice. We send you love, peace, and harmony into the ethers. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Hit the like button on the video, family, and hopefully you learned of something from the ancestors here on the channel coming through to let us know the truth. Self-defense in reference of what was stolen from her life. And the emergency wound up being where she didn't even have any money after a while because of this situation, because it was an emergency to fight for her life. And then they put this in her essence to try to taint her name, when in actuality she was the goddess to speak truth and power into the Black people or African American indigenous people. Ashe, I leave it here. Let me know how you feel. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace. Everything is for entertainment purposes only. Ashe.